Howdy folks and welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another episode of Hearts of Iron 4 with the mighty Total War mod. And in this episode the time has come to backstab the Soviet Union. How did I plan to achieve this? Well, it's very simple. First and foremost, I decided to attack on two fronts. Well, sorry, three, if I include also the small bridgehead that I created along the, let's say, Siberian coast between Russia and the island of Sakhalin. Um, the plan was very simple. Was to take Vladivostok with my infantry divisions and to make a very easy and cheap and dirty pocket. Meanwhile, the what I call the Purple Army would have just advanced from the former Xinjiang border and would have attracted as many enemy divisions as possible, while my tank and motorized army would have just attacked northwards. I would say it was east of the Mongolian border, with the objective of cutting the Trans-Siberian railway line. The goal of this operation was very simple: was to isolate from their logistics all of the Soviet divisions between my breakthrough action and the former Vladivostok. Because, well, that's kind of expected that when the enemy is without supplies, it's much easier to fight a way through its lines and advance, you know. And thanks to my Marines, I decided to launch an offensive towards. I forgot the name of that city, but I mean, you're seeing it now, and well, it's. I think you might have understood already why I decided to do that without the need of me commenting that. Meanwhile, from the former Xinjiang front, things were, let's say, starting to get a little bit more worrying and problematic, because despite all of my efforts to increase the logistics prior to the invasion of the Soviet Union, I realized that that specific area of the Soviet Union, basically doesn't have anything. It has absolutely nothing. It's just pure desert. And again, I had to stop the offensive, prepare my supply depots, extend the railway, make sure that everyone was, let's say, up and running in terms of supplies, and then carry on the offensive. First problem. The second problem of the Xinjiang front, apologize for that, was that the more I advanced, the more the front line became bigger. And at some point I realized, oh my god, I don't have enough troops to cover the entire front. Also because from this bulge created by my mechanized and motorized army, I had to pull back several troops because my plan for the second phase of the invasion was to attack from the Mongolian border towards Lake Baikal to again isolate from a supply point of view all of the enemy divisions trapped. Trapped in between the bulge and the Mongolian border. When fighting against the Soviet Union, and since I'm fighting not as the Germans, the idea here was to really cut at the root of the supply lines, the enemy divisions, make them starve, and then try to pocket and circle them, push them in areas in which they uh, would have not received any supply, and try to just, yeah, to annihilate them in this way. The Mongolian front. This is something that I forgot in my past attempts to play this campaign, because I totally forgot that Mongolia was a puppet of the Soviet Union, and that at some point it was natural for Mongolia to join the war. And yeah, I mean, yeah, no comment, really, no comment. One of my general became the I would say the not the expert. I forgot the name of the trait, but basically it could command now up to 30 infantry divisions, and that was really juicy because I could allow this allowed me to train 6 more infantry divisions to bring up to the front, because yeah, against the Soviet Union you really need a lot of divisions. Now you may have seen that the Purple Army did have all of its divisions concentrated on one specific area. So here I was just playing around with my destroyers because, you know, in preparation of what's coming afterwards. So I was saying my Purple Army. My Purple Army, for whatever reason, it had its troops totally on a very short section of the front. I realized later that this was because I set up an offensive command, an offensive order for that army. And that apparently the AI doesn't care about its flanks anymore when you set up an offensive order instead of just drawing a front line. So the AI moved all of my divisions in that bulge, and I was kind of freaking out because I was like, oh my god, if the Soviets can push from, let's say, through my flanks, I'm doomed. And in retrospective, what I did late afterwards was probably wrong. Was wrong because I just wasted a lot of time and resources in basically pulling back from that bulge, because yeah, I was just afraid of the AI being smarter than me, and yeah, again, no comment. Although one thing that I noticed, and that really made me happy, was to see that, let's say, within 1 or 2 months after the invasion, the Axis front line began to push forward. And honestly, I was quite happy to see that because, yeah, here you see my defensive line, and I can comment a bit on that. Still, I was kind of happy that the Axis AI could advance, because it meant that my deep penetration into the Soviet Union was, let's say, sufficient to distract the Soviet AI from the Eastern Front. I mean, sorry, the Western Front for the Soviets and the Eastern Front for the Axis, to allow the Axis to regain the initiative even in the middle of winter 1942. Now, the fallback line that I prepared for the Purple Army, it was, let's say, made to bait the AI, because I already had an advanced supply base there. I decided to prepare my defensive line exactly on that base, because the idea was to bait the AI, make the AI advance and starve itself as much as possible, while my troops would have been totally fit and healthy and well supplied for the upcoming potential counteroffensive. Meanwhile, I did manage to encircle a few troops up there in the mountains. I think that was because I managed to pin them first, while my fast divisions were just maneuvering around them and behind them. And yeah, besides that, I was just playing around with the front lines, and here, having realized that the Soviet AI was not advancing, I think because the Soviet AI was facing some supply issues, I decided, okay, let's just eliminate that defensive line and bring up all the troops to the front line. Also because I managed to liberate some divisions from the far eastern front to move them here in the, I would say, Siberian front. And once again, because when you attack in Siberia, there is only one way to go, and this way is through the Trans-Siberian railway line. I decided to, let's say, try to gamble, basically, to gamble the go for broke, and I moved forward my tank and motorized divisions. And again, the plan was always the same, was to cut through the enemy lines, ideally, exactly as you may have seen, just encircle as many troops as possible, and try to cut off the two railways that are going through the Urals, from the Urals into Siberia. Yeah, this was a big gamble because I didn't, as you can see, I didn't have enough troops to cover the entire front line. I would have needed at least 2 or 3, so 48 or 72 more divisions. But good luck in training all those divisions for the invasion of the Soviet Union. So I decided to go with the motorized and tank divisions. Again, I had to, as always, I had to play around with my supply lines, with my depots, because when you attack in areas, let's say, away from the Trans-Siberian line, that's the way to go. That's the way to proceed. And yeah, I mean, slowly, I realized, oh my God, it's already 1 year that elapsed, and still, overall, I could have not complained too much because my armies were making good progress, as well as the armies of the Axis. And yeah, it basically became a race against time. I really wanted to take those bloody supply lines, and even though at some point the Soviet AI begged me for peace, I said no, hell peace. I want to conquer you all, guys. I'm not giving up at all. And yeah, here let's say I deployed one additional infantry army because yeah, exactly as I was saying, the immensity of the Russian front was just really swallowing my divisions one after the other, and I decided to train one extra army, train it in Japan, to make sure that my divisions would have been at least a bit of would have been combat ready by the time they would have joined the actual front. And basically, yeah, that's it. I decided also to launch my offensive northwards to isolate even more the Soviet divisions, and most importantly, to take as many victory points as possible. Because in 1943, the invasion of the Soviet Union became basically the race for the Siberian victory points. Because yeah, whenever I would have playing as Germany, okay, you need to take Leningrad, Moscow, Stalingrad, all the oil fields of the Caucasus, but then you need to push forward, ideally into Vladivostok. But since I was playing as Japan, I decided to give my help to the European axis. And once again, I had to stop my offensive, mostly because of a lack of troops and lack of supplies. And here again, being very busy in setting up railways and supply depots, and as well as expanding the infrastructures. And yeah, I think that's basically all. Again, I ran out of words as always. And yeah, I will leave you to the video, guys. Spoiler alert. In this episode, in this episode, I will collapse the Soviet Union. But still, believe me, the war in Siberia is not over, and will not be over. So, as always, thank you very much for watching, guys. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. Be safe, take care, and see you all, guys, in the next episode.
大義の血潮雲染めて必死必中 渡り敵艦などで逃すべき身を焼く滅の大戦か外貨は高くほどろけど今は帰らぬますだおよ千尋の海に沈みつつなおも三国の